Hey, Michael Church, Crawl Space Ninja. I am here with Ian, and Ian, I asked you to come on our channel because you reached out to us, decided to take on your own crawl space, and you've done a lot of great work. And I thought some of the things that you've done should be shared with our viewers. If you want to tell us a little bit about the overview of the project, where you're from, all that kind of stuff, and let's dive in. We're going to cover some outside foundation waterproofing that you did, but you also are obviously you're in your crawl space. You're going to start working on that. I think you said this weekend. Tell us a little bit about this project that you're working
on. Again, thank you for having me. It's been really great to work with you. I know I did the consultation with you. That was incredibly helpful. But yeah, this has been a big project. We bought this house knowing that it had some issues, and then also found out that it had more issues as we were going along.
That always happens, doesn't it?
It does. We're in Durham, North Carolina. The house is located, it's kind of on top of a hill. It's not, I feel like, everybody around here always talks about, flooding basements, flooding crawl spaces. It's a lot of clay. It's just, kind of wet and humid and swampy.
Well, interestingly, North Carolina, at least statistically, according to YouTube, is our top watched YouTube state. So there must be a lot of issues in North Carolina because we get more of our views from North Carolina than any other state. So yeah, I appreciate you telling us where you're at because it gives people an idea of the kind of soil and the clay that you're having to deal with, and you're in an older home, a lot of mature trees, things like that. So that's another thing that a lot of people don't realize is that if you're trying to do an outside waterproofing project, because people always ask me, should I do it from the outside or the inside? Well, if it's a brand new neighborhood, you don't have any trees, you might get away with the inside, but I'm looking at a picture of your house and man, you got a lot of mature vegetation and different things like that. So one of the things I wanted you to share, number one, what led you to discovering it? Was it during the buying process that you found out all this, or was it after you moved in?
It was a little bit of both. Part of what drew us to the house was the fact that it did have a basement and then it's like a partial basement, part crawl space. And it was your typical, like you go down there, it's very musty, a lot of flora and fauna inside. And yeah, it was, we knew it was going to be a lot of work. I don't know if we saw water in the basement during the buying process, but there was so much efflorescence on the inside of the foundation, and you could definitely see evidence of water being in there.
Right.
And we did actually see, I think I actually sent you some pictures of what looked like somebody had done some work to put in a foundation drain. And so we thought, oh, it looks like somebody knew what they were doing. That there was some foam board, there was some gravel, and yeah, this that you're sharing here. This is a slab that was poured kind of back into the crawl space area. I think what we have heard is that the person living in the house in the 70s turned this into kind of a DIY bomb shelter.
Right.
And so it poured this slab. Obviously, you can see where there's a lot of water that's been coming in, and we would get we'd have rain that would be standing, or rainwater that would be standing in this area, even in storms that weren't particularly it wouldn't even take a heavy downpour to get water in this area. And so we knew, we wanted to use this space, and obviously, for indoor air quality issues, we didn't want all that moisture down there. So I knew that we needed to keep the water. It was like, well, ideally we'd like to keep the water from getting in. And so that's kind of what led to deciding to do the foundation drain. We decided to wait until we were doing the bigger remodel, and I did the foundation drain kind of in 2 phases because I had thought that I did the side first and then the front. Doing the side because we knew the grade, it came straight from our neighbors, straight into the foundation. And then it did slope away, so it would drain down the side of the house, but it was coming into, like, it was coming in on that side.
Let's talk about that just for a second before we get to your neighbors. When you were purchasing the home, I assume you hired a home inspector?
We did, yes.
Okay. So in your opinion, how beneficial was the home inspector when it came to the crawl space in the basement? Because it's kind of hit or miss with home inspectors, right? So did you have one that you felt did a good job of preparing you for what could have been or what needed to be done in the crawl space?
No.
Okay. That's most of and I'm not here to beat up on home inspectors, but there are some that really take the time to learn about the crawl space in the basement, and then there are some that won't even go in. So I always recommend try to find one that is working for you, not the real estate company, or not not the agent, right? So because this can be a big deal. So did they even go in? Did they test for humidity or moisture of the walls or any of that sort of stuff at all?
Well, I don't remember them doing any testing. I have some experience in construction, so I was able. I mean, I felt like I had greater expertise than what, like, the home inspector did not tell us anything that I did not already know from looking at the house. We did.
But he should have at least confirmed in some way. And I use the word testing. I apologize. I didn't mean to use that word. Check humidity, check moisture, because that was using meters, right? They should have pulled out a humidistat and moisture meter and all that. But it didn't sound like any of that was in your report that you received.
Not that I remember. I think we were also more focused on we knew there were some structural issues with the house, and we did end up getting a structural engineer out to give us a report, because there was like an elevated concrete slab that had been a deck, and then there was an addition that the house was built on top of, and so we knew that was going to be an issue. So I think that was really more of our focus in terms of buying it.
Well, that's completely legitimate, because you don't expect a home inspector to be a foundation engineer expert. So I just want to be clear. I'm not saying that the home inspector should be a mold expert or a foundation expert, but they could at least whip out their meters and check humidity and moisture levels, right? I mean, that's something within their purview that you would think they would all do, So if there's any home inspectors watching this, please let us know. Again, I'm not trying to beat up on you, but, is there some training that you all went through? So those of you that do focus on crawl spaces, please comment down below and let us know what you did to bring yourself up on this training, because I really feel like it's a disservice whenever they don't check these moisture levels, right? You can't go by how you feel. I know you mentioned mustiness, you smelled mustiness and all that. Well, unfortunately, not everybody has a good sense of smell, so they can't go by that. Some people do, some people don't. But you should trust the meters, right? I mean, that's one of the things that I would like to see more of in our process of buying and selling homes, is that these home inspectors kind of focus on that moisture, because it's all about humidity, right? I mean, you got a major water problem, and that foundation problem that you're talking about was probably from the water problem, right?
Well, I think the foundation problem was from the way it was built problem.
It was the way it was built. Okay.
Yes.
Well, good. Well, thanks for clarifying that. So, and you have a brick wall and brick pillars and all that sort of stuff, right? So did the engineer do a good job for you?
Yes, I thought the engineer was great. The report was really helpful. It helped us, get a much better price on the house.
Sure.
I think actually you can see in that photo, this is in the original part of the house. It is a brick foundation with the piers. Over there, kind of on the right in the far distance, you see some block.
Yep, I see that.
And that is some reinforcement that was put in as a result of the structural engineer. And then the new part of the house that we added onto is all concrete block.
Good. Well, do you mind if we switch gears to the outside real quick? Because I love this picture and this video that you got going on here. Tell me a little bit about, is this the way the downspouts looked when you purchased it, or is this something you did right here? What's going on there on the right?
Yes, that is how it looked when we purchased it. So you see the one on the left. Sorry, not the video, but the two of the two downspouts.
Oh, I'm sorry, right here.
The one on the left is underneath the downspout from the gutter, but there's a gap of about 5 or 10 feet. So it's just kind of a suggestion that the water comes through the downspout into the drain, not actually connected.
So in a windstorm, it might blow it into the pipe. Is that the way it works? You'll get.
I think you would get a few drops into the pipe, and then the pipe on the right is, you see, I did a little exploration digging there, and you see there's some gravel in there. There was some filter fabric, and there's that foam board. So I thought, oh, that looks kind of like what a foundation drain should be. I guess somebody has done this in the past, but I didn't know where either one of those pipes went. They were not daylit, and I couldn't really figure it out from raining. And so there you see, I just put a hose down there one day to see, like, maybe if I just run a hose on full blast and see what happens, maybe I'll find out where the water is going. And yeah, as you're pointing to, the water just came straight back up.
Right, just came right back out. So is this that section of the house right here? Is that right?
Yes. So that middle picture, you see the two drains. You see the downspout kind of in the top of that picture.
Oh, right there. Yeah, up here.
Not connected.
Well, even if it was, it would have done you any good.
Right. Maybe we might have dodged some more. I don't know how well, if they had sealed it to that pipe, I don't know how much it would have backed up,
Well, maybe they were trying, to force the water to dig out the dirt at the end to make daylight. Maybe that was their plan, was to do that. So let me see if I can find another one. Now, this is you digging all that out, right? So tell us about this experience. How many weekends or how many hours did this take you to take care of? So
this was less than a week of work. I did this during the renovation.
Okay.
And we knew our HVAC units were going to be sitting there along that wall. And I realized, I need to go ahead and do this now, because I don't want to have to be moving those later.
Well, and that's a good point. So in this picture, is that you had to move the HVAC unit? Is that correct?
Yes, that's the old one out. And
then this is that pipe that you stubbed, and I assume the downspout was on this wall. So you dug all that out and moved the HVAC. There's the gas meter. So yeah, great.
Yes.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to make sure everybody saw what we were looking at. So go right ahead. So.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for clarifying. So it was not really, I wasn't really planning to do it that week, but then, in talking with all the tradesmen, our mechanical guy who we were working with said, "Hey, I'm going to put this in next week. I know you said you wanted to do some work." And I said, "Well, I guess I'm doing it now."
Well, not everybody else has the luxury of doing this during a remodel. I mean, you may have to remove your HVAC and be without HVAC for a little bit. And were y'all living in the home when you were doing this?
No.
Okay, so a little bit more convenient for you not being there, but
yes,
just another reason why outside waterproofing can be difficult. Or more difficult, different problems you got to address, because a lot of times there's obstacles in the way you don't really think about it. And HVAC and a gas meter certainly is an obstacle. So looks like you did a great job. So did you tar that? What'd you put the black underneath the gas meter? Is that stuff you go to Home Depot and buy and paint on, or is that something different that you put on there?
It is a paint on. It's much. I went to like a specialty supply store to get it. It is, I don't remember the exact name of it, but
if you'll share that with me later, I'll put it in the description of the video so that way everybody knows. Okay.
Yeah, it is much thicker than, I think the stuff that you would get at like a big box store, I feel like it's closer to a paint.
Right.
This stuff was much more like it was very thick.
Like a rubberized, roll it on, brush it on kind of stuff.
Yes, it was a rubberized membrane. I used one of those like very large like masonry brushes. It's about 5 or 6 inches, and you do have to basically toss the brush out afterwards.
Sure.
I don't, I think I did this work in 2019. If I was trying to clean that brush afterwards, I would probably still be cleaning it.
Well, compared to a builder, so if a builder was doing this, or you called possibly some waterproofing contractors, exterior waterproofing contractors, they would get that really thin stuff that goes through a paint sprayer. Most likely, because they're focused on price, not on quality, right? So, and I'm not saying all exterior waterproofers would do that, but certainly the ones that I've seen here in Tennessee that are these spec home builders, they just go and they just spray something on. It almost looks like the stuff that they spray on to patch asphalt. It's like to make asphalt pretty again. It's just sprayed on, and it's not even as good as the stuff they use on asphalt, in my opinion. But so as soon as if you get any shifting or anything like that, it destroys the seal.
Mm-hmm.
This stuff, if I'm guessing as thick as you probably put it on, if it shifts, it's rubberized, so it's going to shift a little bit with the block, right? Or with the brick. Yeah. Yeah. So good job. It looks like you insulated over it too. Is that right?
I did, yes. I put some foam board up, which at the time I only knew to put the foam board up because as a way to protect the membrane from when you're dumping, because then obviously when you dump the gravel in, you don't want that gravel to then be puncturing that membrane that you've
Absolutely.
just. I think if I were to do it again, I probably would have used a thicker foam board, just given the fact that I do actually, want to be able to use the basement and crawl space inside. It would have just added a little more R value.
Right.
But I think this is doing great as it is. And then, so you do the rubberized membrane, put the foam board up after the membrane cures, and then lay the filter fabric inside. You're starting a burrito. And that's the black there.
Right.
I just used kind of the like standard on that side. I just kind of used the standard landscape fabric that you get at the big box. I did then find when I ended up doing the front, I did something called I think it's like a non-woven geotextile fabric,
right?
Which is it has a.
Hang on, Ian. You cut out on me just for a minute. You said it was incredibly what?
Oh, it's incredibly thick. It's like, I think I could probably make a winter coat out of the leftovers, but it does have a very high flow rate. And I think it seems like that's just a sturdier fabric. It also came in you could order it in wider dimensions as well, which just it ended up being easier instead of having to double up layers of fabric.
Did you get that from like a pond distribution company or one of those kind of places, maybe a golf course, people that service your water industry or the landscapers?
I think it was actually from a company that does French drains.
Right.
And then they sell the products that they use.
We call it a pond felt. A lot of times when you install a pond, they use it. It's super thick and it's really, really good. Good stuff. Good job. And real quick, for those of you that don't know, when you're insulating a basement or a crawl space, in many states, you can either insulate the outside or the inside, and it still counts. In your scenario, if you would have put an R10 on the outside, that would have counted. You wouldn't have had to insulate the inside. Just wanted to point that out. If you all are thinking about doing an exterior project, it's a good idea. And I'm not saying I wouldn't do both, but you certainly don't need to do both if you do the outside. Well, it looks great. And then you got that white pipe sticking up. Is that your clean out? So you can get in there and clean that out if you need to, or is that going to be what the downspout goes into, this cap piece right here?
Yes, that one. I think that is the clean out. Yes. And then it might be blocked, but there are two. I do have two separate pipes in there. I have one, the perforated pipe that's at the very bottom, and that has a clean out. And then there's the separate pipe that you see there close to the top, right next to the house, that is for the downspouts.
Well, and that's a great point too. So this picture on my left, this is the old perforated pipe that got clogged. And
Yes.
I'm glad you brought that up. You don't want downspouts to go into this pipe. You want that pipe to capture groundwater. And then your downspouts need to be in a solid either sewer and drain pipe, wall sewer and drain pipe, or a 4-inch if you want to spend the money. It's a lot more expensive for the 4-inch sewer pipe. So did you go with a sewer and drain pipe, or did you go with the 4-inch, the thicker PVC?
I think
It was almost 5 years ago. So I'm asking you to remember a lot.
I yes, I don't think I don't think it was the sewer and drain pipe.
Okay, it was the
I
thicker
think
stuff.
it was I know going with the PVC in general, it was more expensive than like the black corrugated.
Right.
But what I had been told was it's like the corrugated is going to slow down the water, and in this application,
Because it does that.
right,
Right.
and in this application, you're trying to get the water away from the house as fast as possible.
Right. That's right. One of the things that you could use also with this is the Hydraway. Obviously, I didn't know about Hydraway in 2019. We didn't have a relationship with them, but Hydraway could also be put up against the foundation or replace the perforated pipe that you used. And since it's a cavity system, it will remove water from the foundation really quickly. You just can't use it as a downspout pipe. So it's got to be a closed system. Anyway, it looks like you did a fantastic job. That was how long ago? That was 2019. And I can take your child off of there if you want me to. I apologize for showing that picture. How long has it been, and is everything working smoothly?
Yes, that's right. So I did that work in 2019, and then obviously a lot of things happened in 2020, including the birth of our child. So things kind of slowed down a little bit, but and I also had not done the work on the front because I thought that there was a foundation drain, but then we continued to learn the water issues in the basement got better, but they were definitely not fixed.
This wall right here, this is this front part that's got the green board on it. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's this view. Your downspout that you corrected was at the far end of that corner because you thought this wall was done properly because of that pipe, that newer pipe that was sticking out. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes. And I didn't, and when I had put a hose in there and let water go down it, the water did not come back up, and I still didn't know where exactly it daylit, but I was like, well, I hope it's working. But anyways, we found out it wasn't because as pictured
on this side, all that felt. And is that the pipe? Did it make I don't know what that is, but
no, that is just that's the felt.
Okay.
That is just it's so wet, it's just kind of bulging out. But yeah, you can see they didn't continue it anywhere. And then
they just dubbed it in right here. That was it. That was as far as it went. And then there's your board that they put to make it look like they did something, right? To give you that false sense of security that they waterproofed it properly. Anyway.
Right. Well, they had dug it out all the way down to the footing. They filled the entire thing with gravel, and it was wrapped in the felt. They had the board on there, but then, as you see on the right, that the piece of pipe that is left there, that is where it stopped, and then you see the concrete that's poured on top of the footing like a dam, and then that pipe goes into the crawl space, and then it slopes uphill. So that's where all the water was going. It was draining into the crawl space.
All right. So just real quick, you get what you pay for, probably. I'm guessing that was probably the cheapest bid. But not always. We've replaced some jobs that were very expensive. Word of advice: don't let them cover the pipe until you see where it's going. Right? Would you agree, Ian?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. You just never know what they're going to do. I bought a house and they had a downspout and then they had a grate drain, and it was the same thing. The downspout and the grate drain were that far from each other. So the downspout was just draining into stubbed soil, and the grate drain was literally 6 inches. They could have very easily just attached it. I don't know if they just didn't want to drive to Home Depot and buy the fitting or what, but it's nuts, you know. And when people are like, I can't believe y'all are more expensive. This is, you know, if you're paying cheap for something, I guarantee you that contractor is going to find some way to cut a corner somewhere. And you may not notice it for years, but it's, you got to make sure you're paying for quality labor, because there's a lot of crazy things that I've seen over the years. And it's hard for me to justify, you know, when I'm $3,000 or $4,000 more expensive than my competitor. You know, I've literally seen like mold treatments where they only treated the mold facing the door because they didn't think the homeowner would crawl in and look behind the joist. I mean, I've seen stuff like that. It's crazy. Just do the job right. I mean, I don't understand, right? Anyway, yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like I mean, you know, it's like this is a 7-step process, and it's like they got 6 of the steps. It's like, why? Just, they were so close.
And then they took it in the crawl space and went uphill. Is that what you said? Is that this one?
Yes.
All right. So they stubbed. So this is that wall on the inside. They stubbed it into the crawl space, and now the pipe starts going uphill. Is that correct?
Yes. And then it just kind of, they ran it, you know, maybe 10 feet inside the crawl space, and then just buried the whole thing.
So they're dumping your outside water into the crawl space.
Yes, which explains a lot of the moisture issues that we were having.
Holy mackerel. That's just, man, that's criminal. I mean, I don't even know how else to say it. That's not neglect or stupidity. That's just outright malice. That's all that is, you know. So anyway, it's probably his brother-in-law.
I mean, I don't, you know, maybe it was part of the design of the bomb shelter. They thought they need a water source.
Yeah. It was like fallout. You know, we're gonna get rainwater into the bomb shelter through this muddy, nasty perk pipe, and then we're gonna filter the mud out. Yeah, maybe. Oh man.
Yeah. That's. I mean, I don't. You know what? We were talking about the structural engineer earlier, who was very helpful, but he did have a great joke. He said, he was like, I'm happy to lend my expertise, but I think you probably need either an anthropologist or an exorcist to explain some of these things.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I'm laughing. This isn't funny. I apologize. It's funny now. You know, I bet it wasn't funny when you found this out. I bet you were pretty hot.
It was actually, it was kind of a relief. Because it just kind of, you know, it was like, oh, all this makes sense now. Like, a lot of questions were answered.
I bet it was. That's a lot of gravel. Is that what it took to do? This is the front of the house, right?
That is the front, yes, and that is actually that's the second load of gravel.
Oh wow!
It was, you know, I did have to dig out a lot. It is kind of tough. You know, it's tough to put it back. I think I have a couple of pictures somewhere showing. I kind of used some. Yeah, you see that's where the one on the right. That entire area was filled with gravel.
Same membrane as you used on the other side, same rubberized membrane and all that, and then you put foam board up against it, and then you put a felt over the foam board. Is that what I'm looking at here?
That is right, yes. And then kind of, you know, taped the felt to the foam board to try to keep it up while filling it in.
Sure.
And then that's not the final design that I went with there for the picture with the block. I was just trying to give myself a visual indicator of where the sewer drain and the water line came into the house, just in case we ever had to dig it out.
Sure.
Again,
that makes sense. That way you know exactly where it's located at, right? So,
yes.
And this is this the final product? This is the before and the after?
Yes, before and almost after. I guess I hadn't totally finished cleaning up and filling everything in there.
Looks like you had to take your deck out.
We did, yes. it took it, a lot of it took it. It had been built with non-pressure treated wood, and
I'm
then
guessing that was the lowest bid, probably too. I'm gonna
I
save you some
guess,
money.
yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of the, as we were doing the demolition, seemed like there was a lot of DIY
Mm,
solutions and probably things that were not inspected.
I got you. And then this is the other side, before and after, with your new HVAC and all that sort of stuff. Is that right?
Yes, correct. Yep. And so that I brought the gravel all the way up to, I just didn't want to take any chances. I wanted to make sure that any surface water and then any groundwater was going to get into that gravel and then get into the drain.
Did you cover the gravel with anything decorative, or did you leave it like this?
It's been like this. We may cover it at some point.
I mean, it looks great. I'm not complaining. I just didn't know if this was the final picture as it stands today. So,
Oh, got it. No, it's there's grass growing now that we're not running heavy equipment over it.
sure.
But it's about 18 inches wide of
Mhm.
I think, well, there's we have a few plantings, have some bushes and stuff that we may just let that be around the house. But yeah, I think we didn't want to put anything right up on the foundation either.
Well, and I like this picture because it shows you. You mentioned it when we first started this conversation about how close your neighbor was, and this is a good indication of all of their water dumping on you and your water dumping on them, and it's just kind of hard whenever your houses are that close together to do it correctly. So I bet you're probably still getting a lot of water from them that you're having to redirect.
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Lots of water.
Yeah. Well, it looks great, Ian. Good job. And this weekend, you're going to tackle your crawl space. Is that correct? So you bought some products from our DIY store, and you decided to spend your 3-day weekend working in your crawl space.
That's right. Yes, I know. I was trying to get more of it before we filmed this, but yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, why it's been so long since that I haven't done the crawl space is because doing this work on the foundation drain on the outside, it solved so many of the issues that this is my office now.
Right. Yeah, I remember
I
you
can
telling me
sit
that
down.
when we first talked, right? That's your
Yeah,
office.
I mean, it's comfortable. I leave my computer down here. I have just one of those kind of like small dehumidifiers that runs in the summertime, and I don't even have it hooked up to drain it because I only have to empty the container maybe once every couple days or so.
Well, and if you don't mind, we'll end on that. You did a lot of work on the outside. You did it great and all that, but you still needed a dehu in the crawl space. And I assume there's still something going on down there, or maybe you're just finishing the crawl space just because you want to make it look nice. So did the outside 100% fix everything and control all the moisture in the crawl space, or are you still doing the crawl space because there's just a little bit that needs to be addressed on the inside?
Yeah, there is just a little bit that needs to be addressed. I mean, the crawl space is just the dirt floor, and I'm sure. I mean, where it's a concrete slab. I'm sure it was not. I'm sure there's no vapor barrier under
Right.
it. So there, and also, I mean, I have this door next to me. I mean, I leave it open mostly when I'm working, just because it's pleasant. So
Sure.
we're in North Carolina. It's humid, so there's a lot of humidity coming in here. But I do want to just be able to use space, keep it more like a regular living space. And so that's why I'm doing sealing up the rest of the crawl space, and yeah, using the dehumidifier to just keep it a little more comfortable.
Now, are you using that space in the winter too, or are you?
Yes,
It's comfortable enough down there in the wintertime.
it is. Yeah, it's. I do. I mean, I have a little space heater that sometimes I use, but it's It is also, I mean, it's I've removed the insulation in the joists, and our first floor HVAC is down here, so I'm sure there's a little bit of leakage that we're getting to keep it more like the conditioned space.
And you're going to insulate the interior walls,
Yes.
so it should even be more comfortable once you get that done, I would guess.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, like the wall behind me is not, it doesn't have any, it's all above ground, and it doesn't have, there's no vapor barrier on it. So yeah, I mean, whatever, there's definitely moisture coming through it.
Sure, absolutely. Well, Ian, this is great. Thank you. Thank you for taking this time to walk us through your exterior project. And I love the fact that it was, almost 6 years ago, because it just shows when you do it right, it'll last for a long time. So good job, and kudos to you for doing that. That's fantastic. And if you don't mind, send me some pictures after you get done with the crawl space this weekend. I'd like to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I will definitely send them.
Okay, great. Well, I'm Michael Church with Crawl Space Ninja here with Ian from Durham, North Carolina, and we hope you make it a happy and blessed day, and we'll see you later.